being arrested, openly admitting to using meth, hitting your face with a hammer to get it deformed perfectly the way you want it, and being so insane that you take interviews where you openly call Sydney Sweeney malformed. You would think that this is all just something that you would only hear about a drug addict doing, that this is just the makings of some psychopath, and you're partly right, because the person that is doing all of this, that is responsible for these crazy headlines, for making all this noise, is a young man, a young 20-year-old man named Braden Peters, but the world and you all may know him more as Clavicular. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about Clavicular is because the more research and the more I've just unwillingly had to learn about this man, because he has been making himself a lot more relevant, a lot more just in the news recently, it's actually really sad. I am not making this as an episode to convince anybody that he is actually a good person or anything wild like that. This is more so an episode to highlight how he is a perfect example of how this youth that we have, this upcoming crop of adults, they're in some real serious trouble. And it's a lot of things that weren't necessarily their fault. You know, the COVID outbreak, you know, a whole global pandemic that really fucked up a lot of shit. And I'm going to get more into it later. I'm going to sort of talk about how he is just an example and not just a special case. But for starters, I think that we need to start at the beginning. We need to start at when this motherfucker was young, and we need to really give you a good understanding of where he comes from to help you understand what I'm talking about. Now, Braden Peters, that's his name, just for a reminder, he was born in Hoboken, New Jersey. He was born to a businessman father, and his mom used to be a bodybuilder. When he speaks on it, he literally, and this will give you a good example of how fucked up he is, he pretty much said that his mom, by giving birth to him, she got fat in it, and like giving birth to him is what caused her to lose herself and to lose her better looks. Now, growing up, I haven't really been able to see anything that showcased that his father, that his mom were, aside from being a former bodybuilder and having a home gym, there wasn't anything to really indicate that they were just so hyper focused on looks like him. Because from what I've read, him and his little sister, they were well taken care of. They would go family trips, typical middle class to upper class, you know, just white people shit. And that is all good and dandy. It really doesn't explain some of the other issues that started with this kid. Because, and this is me just taking a little intuition, but there's also a lot of reports, and he talks about how he is the type to be very hyper fixated on things. He's the type to get obsessive. So maybe there was a touch of autism there. Maybe there was something in him that just is causing him to have such hyperfixations on some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. But it started off with just regular kid shit, but then it got into working out. It got into looks maxing, which is the big crux of what we're going to be talking about. So it started off, like I said, just bodybuilding, just, you know, being one of those kids that's on bodybuilding forums. Listen, as a former forum kid who, when I was on the internet, I would sometimes find myself on forums. Shout out Kanye to that is not a bad thing. You can find some good communities in there, especially if you are not going to an uber niche one. Like, I just was on music forums, just saw listening to motherfuckers argue about rap. But this kid, bodybuilding forums and shit like that, just to give y'all a little indication, I've looked through that type of shit before. I'm not trying to say I was into bodybuilding, just because bodybuilding forums have a reputation of being the type of place where you're going to see a lot of just weird tastes and a lot of really weird types of people, because bodybuilders, especially the ones that are hyper fixated on it, they can a lot of times end up being, I don't want to say eugenics, but they're the type to really focus on pseudoscience and biology and the type of weird shit, the type of shit that this guy thinks. Because bodybuilding is one thing, that's like the level 1. Looks maxing, from what I've been finding out, is like the level 10 of just being on the psychotic side. Now, just giving y'all a better understanding of what looks maxing is. Looks maxing is obsessing over physical self-improvement. It is the type of guy, and just to give y'all an example, when I was talking about, just beating, like using a hammer to deform yourself, what Clavicular has promoted, and this is just one of the many different methods that like looks maxers use, what he promoted using is hitting your face with a hammer, specifically your jaw, and just like sort of smashing against it so that you can get it to form the way you want, so you can get your ideal look. Sounds fucking insane, I know, but this is the type of shit that this guy is pushing. I've seen videos and heard clips of this man promoting meth use. He talks about how models use cocaine, but instead he uses meth. He's shown himself injecting underage women with fucking fat dissolvers in their cheeks. He has talked about using penis pumps to maximize his girth and just get a bigger one. It's just, he's doing all of this shit. And the crazy part about it is he was starting to promote all this and talk about it before he was even 18. This is somebody who his parents had literally had to take away his passport and take away all this other shit so that he would not be able to just go overseas and get some type of operation to change his face, some type of cosmetic surgery. Clavicular is fucking insane. He's got mental issues, and I'm not even really here to focus on the actual ridiculousness of this whole looks maxing shit that he's trying to promote and everything like that. I'm here to really talk about how this man's life is not something that we should all be laughing at. This is actually a really, really sad case, because some of the clips that I don't see people really talk about or really focus on as much, or not give the gravity that they should, is like the clip of him when he was with some girl at a hockey game and he's talking about how his dad literally texted him calling him a failure, calling him a drug addict. There's all the times he's talked about his mom just not respecting him and just being done with him and calling him a drug addict as well. There's the times he's joked about with random people about how he just wants a gun to kill himself. I just really feel like we're at a point right now where there's so many people who are making content about him and are just laughing at the ridiculousness of him calling Sydney Sweeney malformed, calling JD Vance obese, and saying that he wouldn't vote for him over Gavin Newsom just because Gavin Newsom looks better. Yes, all of that's ridiculous, all of it's goofy, but I really think that this, he's been making so many cries for help, and it's just really sad to me, because I think that he is a perfect example of, and this is just what I feel like is happening with a lot of the youth right now, is that you just have a lot of these young kids who are going after fame, who are going after these streaming careers, not really understanding, not really knowing what it entails, and not really being prepared for everything, for all the spotlight that's going to be put on them. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm not trying to excuse Clavicular for any of the crazy and wild shit that he's done or been up to. I'm not going to get into all of the potential time he almost killed somebody by running him over with his car, even though that person was the one that was harassing him, just to be very clear about that. I'm not going to get into all of the racist shit that he's been a part of, him being part of that big group of fucking losers a couple weeks ago in Miami who were literally at a club with Hail Hitler by Kanye West playing and shit like that. I'm not going to even touch on all that, not because it doesn't deserve, not because it's not irreprehensible, not because it's not horrible, but because at the end of the day, this motherfucker is 20. He's young enough to where I feel like I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt, but he's still got room to grow, and he's still got room to get over all of this stupid shit that he's into. And I just feel like he does need to be given not too much grace, but we all have to remember that he's just young, and that at the end of the day, this is all just like a mask. This facade that he's putting on, it's easy to see through if you really are to pay attention to his content for more than just clips in 30 seconds. Because anybody that is doing the shit that he's doing, anybody that is so obsessed with just trying to look the best, he's insecure. He's clearly not happy with himself as is, clearly there was something in that little boy that he didn't like, or when he was young that he was looking in the mirror that he didn't like, which is what caused him to go so hard in this direction. And then going into those bodybuilding forums, being around all those weird incel and racist motherfuckers who are just throwing a whole bunch of bullshit into his head, giving him a whole bunch of nonsense that he took to heart as a young fucking 14-year-old. I understand how he ended up as fucked up as he did. Because it has to be said, man, when you're deep in those internet circles, when you're on these fucking forums and that is your main fucking way of like having interaction and communicating with people, that can fuck you up. Now, again, I was lucky. I had friends outside of the computer. I had friends in real life. I'm not trying to make it seem like I was the most outgoing, because I was a house nigga. I stayed in the house a lot. But I can at least say that I had real friends, that I did not like have my entire social life and identity crafted for me behind the fucking screen. And I feel like that is what is happening with a lot of the youth, especially with the youth that got caught up during COVID. And it's doing them dirty, because Clavicular, not only is he just weird and because of all the racist and looksmacks and shit, the motherfucker really doesn't even know how to communicate. He doesn't know how to actually talk to, especially women. And that is a big part of what makes the looksmacking community, because they do all this because they think it's going to help them get women. And Clavicular is just, you can see clips of him around women where he just doesn't know how to talk. He doesn't know how to have a regular interaction. He doesn't know how to just be normal. And it's sad. It highlights a big issue and a big fear that I have for a lot of the youth that are going to be coming up into the workforce, into the adult world and everything like that, is that they are just going to be so fucking weird. And not just these guys, these women too. There's going to be a lot of weird ass adults who don't know how to interact, who don't know how to deal with people, especially of the opposite gender. And I just don't know how that's going to affect us long term. I don't know how to predict that type of shit. But I just see that it's going to be an issue, and it could be a big problem. And it's why I felt like making this episode, because I think we need to look at it from a different lens. We need to understand that a lot of these guys around Clavicular's age who might be young or fucked up, it's not just because of upbringing or what was around them in their communities. A lot of them are just weird and awkward and maybe didn't actually have regular interactions to grow out of that, to see how goofy it was. Internet polarization is a real thing, where there are people out here who are only existing in echo chambers, who are only existing in negative feedback loops, where all of their most negative thoughts and beliefs are just being parroted and they're just being enforced to the point where they're not going to be, it's going to be hard to like unlearn a lot of shit for them as they grow older. Like when I look at Clavicular, I don't know if there's a way to get a guy that is so far gone as far as he is to understand that he just can change, that he doesn't have to be this way, because he's only 20. You know, for all the crazy shit he has going on, for getting arrested so many times, he's only 20 years old, so he still has time to change. But it's gonna be on him. It's gonna have to be something that he wants to do, and that's gonna take effort and time. But like I said, this episode was mainly made because I want y'all to understand that Clavicular and a lot of these youth, a lot of these kids that are coming out fucked up and weird, we have to give them time, because they're growing up in front of our eyes. We're seeing them go from literally just young motherfuckers who probably don't think of themselves as that important, to just seeing their entire profile and influence just go beyond that. We went from IShowSpeed being the type to bark at women. He was a minstrel. And now this is somebody who is touring Africa, who's showing all these different sides of the continent, making sure that people understand that they're not all living in mud huts and everything like that. And he's just cool. He's just matured into a respectable young man. So it's about giving him grace. It's about understanding that this is a new frontier. I don't really even understand or know how to approach being a streamer or dealing with streamers, or what to expect of them, because they're going to be young kids and they're going to just be growing with the platforms. And this is the last thing I'll leave off on. the main thing that I really think that we have to remember is that it could be worse, you know? Like Clavicular, I think, is someone that I don't think that he's as bad as a Neon. I don't think that he's as bad as a lot of the other people that are on Kick. I think that he is just an example of somebody who didn't really have a great family, who doesn't really have a great support system, who unfortunately they just found the internet before they could actually find therapy. And that is something that sadly I think is going to happen a lot again and again. And we're just going to have to understand that these are kids. That's all I really have for you. I'm not, like I said, Clavicular is not really somebody that I am interested in. He's not somebody that I think that even my audience is interested in, but I think he's a good example of a real pressing problem and a real just interesting quirk about this upcoming generation that we're going to be seeing. So, like I said, y'all continue to be good people. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe on whatever platform that you're listening on. Helps me out a lot, makes a big difference, and just helps the channel grow. But other than that, this has been Kinetic Aesthetic. This has been your boy Germ. Make sure you watch what the youth and your kids are watching on YouTube on anything, because like I said, I figured out who Clavicular was for real through my niece, and yeah, I'd hate to think that there are a bunch of young kids out there who are watching him and actually being influenced. But this has been Kinetic Aesthetic. It's been your boy Germ. I'm out.